Hey everybody, it's Grant Thomas from Visas Association, bringing you another one of the most commonly asked questions that we get. And this question is, what are the reasons why my Schengen visa application would be refused, rejected, or denied? Right. Now, this is very important because it's almost like going back to school. Understanding what the wrong questions or what the wrong answers to the right questions look like is sometimes more important than understanding exactly what success looks like. But it also helps everybody sort of have a barometer or a bit of a temperature around what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. Like with many things, you're able to not so much twist the rules, but understand when there might be like a little gray area. And that's what we really kind of specialize in, is helping Schengen visa applicants actually understand exactly what they need to do and sort of where those lines are that they can kind of push and pull in regards to their application. So in this video, we're going to be running through the 12 largest items that sort of cause a lot of these refusals or rejections, if you will. There are a lot more, but these are the ones that we commonly see, but also people in the industry that we talk to, they commonly see as well. So sort of strap yourself in, pull up the boots, and where applicable, I'll refer to other videos and things like that as we go on. All right, so let's jump into it. One of the first ones that I just want to mention is, and it's not applicable to too many people, right, is if you have current criminal activities or any previous legal cases or lawsuits or otherwise, it does impact your ability to travel to the Schengen region. And this is not sort of directed at people particularly. It is more an assessment of the Schengen region and the probability or possibility of that criminal activity being applied within the country, right? And so they're not looking at specific individuals suggesting, hey, they're going to do it again, or they're not suited for us because of something they did 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Usually the reason for this is because people have them and they don't call them out, right? And so there have been people who have got a history in these kind of actions, and they do actually get in and get a Schengen visa because it was so long ago, or it was not that important, or it was sort of quite a small crime. But do know that if you have had any criminal activity or anything sort of tagged to you relevant to the police or otherwise, just please include it in your application process, because the embassy does have the ability to dive a little bit deeper into your personal profile. And if they find out that or they deem that you've been trying to lie or been trying to not provide them with all of the truth, it will work against you. So this one is quite small, but just know that depending on the scale of activity, just try and call it out, please. So second one that we just want to run through is falsifying travel documents. This is probably the number one thing that frustrates me the most is, and in previous sort of conversations and videos, we talk about where you can go and get your flights or your accommodation through a reservation company, which is what Visas Association does as well, right? And so because we go and formally communicate with the airlines, with the hotels, and get you an actual reserved ticket that is valid for the duration of your application process so that you can go and book your own flights, go and do your own whatever you need to, that's not a false travel document. That is legitimate. The other approach that people can take is actually paying for the flights and accommodation 100% up front. And that, again, is not false documents. What a false document is if you go to 80% of the websites that are out there where they say, hey, reserve flights and reserve hotels, and they actually just make a fake reservation for you. The reason that this is a false document is because the embassy and consulate will go into the appropriate booking website you have used. They will literally copy the booking reference that you get and put it into the flight company or the organizer or the accommodation or the hotel just to see, hey, does this ID actually match any valid booking that is under this person's name, right? And so if they find out that you don't have that, they'll obviously refuse or deny your Schengen visa application. Now, do note, this is a criminal activity. Doing and applying fraudulent documents or lying on your application is and because it is a formal visa application, it is a criminal offense, right? So don't do it. Don't risk it. Pay that little more to get a real reserved flights or real reserved accommodation, or pay for them yourself. It doesn't matter if you use us or use someone else. Just do not use fake flights or fake accommodation. It is wrong, and it will get you into a lot of trouble, even to the extent that they might blacklist you and never be able to enter the Schengen region ever again. So don't use false travel documents. The third one is insufficient explanation for the purpose and circumstances of your planned stay. So a lot of the time where people have been refused entry and they come to Visas Association for some assistance is where we see them not providing adequate reasoning as to why they need to travel. Most people get like a tourism visa with multiple entry. This is a great visa. It is fantastic, and it supports most of the situations of why people are going to the Schengen region. But do note that the number one question when you apply for that type of visa is, why are you not just applying for a single or a double entry? Why are you applying for multiple, which is 3+ entries? And what is the purpose for it? And so what they're really looking for is the countries that you're going to, the exact activities you're going to. Hopefully they can get some booked activities or booked tours to validate that you are going to go to these countries, and looking for all that kind of validation, if that makes sense. So when you apply for one of the Schengen visa types, whether it even be for work or business, right, they just want to validate that that is what you're doing and that is what you're going for. So sometimes we recommend people to have tour bookings, so for example, if you're going to Italy, book the Colosseum tour, book the tour to wherever you're going, right? Because you can attach that activity and the booking to the exact tour to say, hey, I am going here and seeing this, 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 and this. So if you're applying for a multiple entry, try and have activities across 3 or more countries. Don't just say, I'm flying into Italy and I'm leaving from Italy. Please give me a multiple entry, because they'll probably deny and refuse your entry. Number 4 is having a damaged passport. This might sound silly, but if you've got a rip in your passport, if you've got missing pages in your passport, or it looks like it could have been damaged, the reason they will reject it is because typically that is what fraudulent documents look like. So when people are trying to travel internationally and they don't want people to know who they are, they'll try and damage their passport a little bit, because it sort of takes the attention away from where they've replaced a photo, replaced a name, or otherwise. So if your passport is damaged, just go and get a replacement. There is no other fix to it. You can't put sticky tape on it. You can't do anything. Just go and get a new passport. Number 5 is passport invalidity. What do we mean by this? It is if you are coming back from the Schengen region on the 30th of September, you need to make sure that your passport is still valid for 3 months beyond that. Right? And so even though your trip is finishing at the end of September, you need to make sure that your passport is going to be valid until the end of December. And the reason for this is because a lot of times when people travel, they have situations that they can't avoid. So they might get sick, they might get hurt, they might have whatever. And so what they're trying to do here is just make sure that you can have enough time on your passport to get home if something bad happens. And funnily enough, this is not just the Schengen region that needs this. If you're traveling to any countries, it's usually 3 to 6 months validity that you must have on your passport. So if there is even 2 months and 3 weeks, they're not going to negotiate with you. They will just refuse entry. Just go and get the renewed passport and bring that into your application. Number 6 is the lack of travel itinerary. So previously for number 3, we talked about the insufficient explanation, which aligns highly to the type of visa you're getting. This one is the lack of proof of your travel itinerary. And I'll actually link to a video that walks through how to create your own itinerary yourself, so that you can understand exactly what you need to do. But the lack of proof is really relevant to people going and creating a spreadsheet or a Word document that says, I'm going to go from Italy to France and then to Spain. Right? It doesn't help anybody. Your travel itinerary needs to have a day-by-day breakdown and where you're going to stay, what flights you're going to take, and what activities you're going to do. They are literally looking for a full planned out activity schedule for your travel through the Schengen region. And the reason for this is because, again, they know that you've thought about this. They know that you're actually going to be real about it and that you're not just trying to get to the Schengen region for another reason. So you need to have proof, but you also need to have the detail behind it. And the proof can just be reservations of tours or activities, as we've spoken about prior. So number 7 is invalid letter of reference, whether it be fraud, whether it be fake signatures, whether it be missing signatures, whether it isn't addressed to the embassy, etc. They are, again, looking for the key items within these letters of reference, whether it be the no objection certificate, whether it be your cover letter, whatever the reference document is. You need to make sure that it is highly valid and it meets the criteria. We do walk you through with this in a lot of detail in other videos, so I won't get into huge amounts of detail of it, but just make sure it's signed, it's got the appropriate information on it, and that it is 100% valid. So number 8 is insufficient means of subsistence. This is for your financials. So if you are traveling to the Schengen region, as we've talked about in previous videos, you must be able to pass the financial means test. And so every single country within the Schengen region has different financial amounts by the day that you need to have in a bank account. So for example, they usually sit between 50 to 80 US dollars. And so if you're going to be in Italy for, call it 10 days, and that's all you're going to be going to, take 10 days and times it by about 80, and it requires you to have 800 US dollars in a bank account. Right? And we even recommend everybody to increase that by 50%. So in that situation, we'd say you need to at least have 1,300 US dollars in a bank account, because what they're looking to do is say, if something goes wrong, can you do X? But also, do you have enough money to eat, live, breathe, stay, travel in that country? And so each country has got sort of different sort of socio-economic status, which means some countries are cheaper for food, cheaper for transport than other countries. And so again, they fluctuate by country, but do note all they're looking for is to make sure that you've got enough money to travel through those countries. And so if they see bank statements and pay slips that don't support you traveling through these countries, they will reject it and you won't be able to go. Next one, which is number 9, is unacceptable birth or marriage certificates. This one is very common, especially in unfortunate sort of countries like we usually see this through, like Vietnam and Philippines, and countries where the birth certificates might not be as formal as sort of other countries, like people applying through like Russia or otherwise. And so what they're looking for is not someone just writing on a piece of paper that, yes, this person was born on these dates and these were their names. They're looking for the government formal document as at when you were born that defines your name, who you were, who your parents were, etc., because that's what's going to give them the means to say, yes, this person is who they say they are. And the same goes for marriage certificates as well. In addition to this, always get copies made and certified if you can't provide the original yourself. So originals can be expensive and you can apply them and you can give them the originals. But again, just get them certified by a lawyer or a pharmacist or another government body based on your country that can certify them and submit them. Number 10 is no travel insurance or invalid travel insurance. So traveling to the Schengen region requires a very important type of travel insurance. It must have a minimum coverage of 30,000 euros. And the reason for this is because of the costs for healthcare and travel, etc. And so if they see through the policy that you provide to them that it doesn't have the 30,000 euro limit on it, or that it's not even aligned to the dates that you're applying for, they will immediately refuse and deny your travel. Again, contact Visas Association. We're happy to walk you through a couple of options that you can use for your travel insurance as well. Number 11 is lack of presenting proof for your accommodation. When we say this, it's if you're traveling by yourself, in your application, they need to see the hotels, the Airbnbs that you have reserved or you've fully paid for within the application process. If you just include a line in your cover letter saying, hey, I will book it after I get an approved Schengen visa, they're not going to approve it. Really, you need to show that this whole holiday has been planned, this whole trip has been planned, whether it be work, business, study, or otherwise. And the reason that you're going is this, and that you can go and support it, right? So again, there are companies that help provide you with reserved hotels and accommodation, like Visas Association, but do not use fake bookings. Don't use fake documents at all. Always provide it. And then every single night that you're there in the Schengen region, provide them with proof that that is what you're going to be doing and where you're going to be staying. And one of the last ones, and there's more than 12, by the way, is unfavorable Schengen visa situation. And when we dive a little bit deeper into this, it again means like you are not really valid to be traveling to the Schengen region. You might have been rejected before. The people you're traveling with might have been rejected before. The places you're going don't exist. There's just a whole heap of different situations that come into play on this. And if they refuse you for this, they'll usually try and give you some kind of indication as to why. This one's less common, but again, it's just a very important one for you to be across. So hopefully this has given you a little bit of insight into sort of the 12 top reasons for refusal, rejection, or being denied a Schengen visa. Now, if this has helped you at all, or even if you've still got some questions, put a comment down below and ask away. We do create these videos quite regularly. We'll be more than happy to help. And please click the like button as well. This really helps us get this information out to more people who are traveling through the Schengen region that aren't able to actually find this information because it is quite difficult to find. And click the subscribe button down below as well, because Schengen region does change their requirements quite regularly. And so we do create videos that talk about the new changes that have been applied. And so by clicking subscribe, we'll let you know every single time those changes come through so that you don't miss anything. Because if they change during your application today, it will impact what you need to do. And again, what I'll do is I'll link across to a couple of other videos that you can watch that should help you further within your Schengen visa application. So from me to you, thank you very much for joining, and hopefully this has been very educational and is helping you through your Schengen visa application.